Next, we are going to move into teaching strategies and supports. So every time you see these road signs, that means we're going to address a new strategy, and we're going to start with a task analysis. What is a task analysis? Well, a task analysis breaks down and simplifies a complex task and gives it step-by-step instructions for the behavior or skills needed to complete the task. We do this because sometimes skills can be difficult for learners to process as a whole, and a task analysis helps learners gradually acquire smaller, more manageable steps of a complex target skill or behavior. So let's look at those steps. Let's create a task analysis together. So I have an example, and it's going to follow us all the way through the rest of the training. It is creating a task analysis for beginning morning seat work. So you're going to start by observing and identifying that target skill. Determine what your skill is going to be. So in this classroom, it was beginning morning seat work. And then you're going to need to consider any prerequisite skills that are needed for that. So we have 3 here. Walk to the classroom, read your seat work directions, and follow your seat work directions. And then we have break the skill into parts. So for this example, I only have 3 on here because that's how much space we have, but you would write out how many steps you needed for your task or skill. So we have walk to the door, walk in the door, and walk to the seat area to work. When you start to write a task analysis, you will likely find that there are far more steps to a single task than you ever thought possible. And some people do the steps differently. They do them in different orders. They do a different step than others. So it's really important that everyone in your classroom knows exactly what steps you are using to teach so that everyone is using a consistent direction and that it's not confusing for our students. So after you've written your steps out, you're going to follow those steps to confirm if your task analysis is complete. As I mentioned on the previous screen, I personally like to do the task as I write it out. What you're going to find is that people do little steps differently on a task analysis, and that's okay. The important part is that everyone is on the same page. And when you're using this to teach students, you need to make sure that everyone is using the same order and directions. So then you're going to teach the routine using proven methods. What kind of teaching strategies and supports can you use to teach this task analysis? And don't worry, we're going to talk about some of those coming up next. And then you're going to collect data while you're implementing the task analysis and use that data to inform future decisions. So there's a few pro tips that will make a task analysis work for you. Have another staff member observe you running the routine with students. Did you forget something? Do you do a different order that doesn't really make sense for students? I mean, there are a lot of different variables that could be going on there. Plan for implementation. Have a plan for how you're going to communicate the new routine for students. How are you going to communicate that to staff members? Do you need visual supports? And like I said earlier, a lot of people do like little individual steps of a task analysis different. And you can individualize a task analysis for a specific student if there are some reasons that they can't do a certain step. You want to post the routine in the classroom? We see routines in a lot of special education classrooms where there's like a mini schedule for hand washing next to a sink, or there is one next to lockers or classroom cubbies for unpacking a backpack and putting things away. You can get creative. Posting routines in a junior high or high school makes it an official expectation. And then you want to make sure that you are consistent in your expectations. It is very important that routines and procedures be consistent and that students can depend on it. We like to say clear is kind. And you will only see the results that we're talking about if you implement your task analysis with fidelity.